So the second topic we wanted to discuss today was something you shot it over to me. I think it was a couple weeks ago at this point, and it's the discovery. Right? I mean, you have to call it a discovery because it's something that, to our knowledge, did not exist before, but of rock that is in significant part, based on plastic. That it has incorporated plastic into its mineral structure, and they even came up with a name for it, plastistones, which is in contrast to limestone and things like that, sandstone. And so, I mean, our use of plastic, we talk about the use of plastics in all of us and the nanoplastics, and plastic is ubiquitous in our society. So now it's in the rocks too. So what was your reaction to seeing this?
Man, kind of like my reaction is to the last conversation about our democracy, which is, I think this train's left the station with the whole climate thing, and we're just going to see these changes happen slowly, and society will wake up a generation or two from now and look back and say, oh, this looks a lot different. No, and I'm being serious. I mean, this is very interesting. You're right. I guess we can't call it a species of stone because stone is not alive, but you're right. In comparing it to limestone or some other granite or marble, we as humans have manipulated our earth enough that we now have a new form of geology, which is fascinating. So we now have the definition of plastistone. Just for it's been found, I'll just read real quick, in 5 continents and 11 countries. And just what does it mean? How does it happen? These rocks form when molten plastic cools within a minerals matrix, forming the plastic rock fusion. And so what's happening is, a lot of this is actually happening in the ocean, because remember, you have lava coming out of certain parts of just the ocean, and those big tubes where life lives, where there's no light and all that. For any nerds who watch undersea documentaries, and so what happens is, in those temperatures, you have molten rock, but we have, to your point, James, just to explain for the audience that hasn't watched all of our shows. Because we've done discussions about how much plastic is really out there in the earth, and that all of us breathe in nanoplastics. It's on our clothes. They found it from the top of the Mount Everest all the way to the Mariana Trench. So the idea is that the plastics that are in the ocean, when molten rock is just out there coming out of the earth and then cooling and forming into just new rocks, there's actually a new molecular, like we've invented something on the earth as humans through our pollution, which is a whole new molecular structure, which is the molecules of plastic fusing with the molten molecules of stone. So that's why this is fascinating, because like you're saying, limestone is stone with lime in it. And now we have pushed enough plastic onto the planet over the last 100 years that now the earth is starting to regenerate and reform with you bringing in plastic into its own makeup. It's
which is the way that's the way the earth does stuff, what's really interesting is, they talk about how the plastics that they're not biodegradable. So they're going to be here for so long. And actually what we're seeing is how a lot of times what they end up doing, if they're left in, so to speak, free, then they keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's why it's in the air. That's why it's in everywhere, is because eventually they end up as we're not chopping them up to where they become nanoplastics. They get broken up just in the environment, whether it be the UV or, just getting agitated around. They get broken up and broken up and broken up into these super small pieces. What's interesting to me, that I was actually a little encouraged by this, in the sense that one good way to prevent them from ending up in the air and in the water and everything may be
just turn them into mountains,
put them in the rock. Yeah. Hey, maybe we should take advantage of this. If they can get bonded into the mineral matrix of rock, then we need to figure out, go find the plastic, go dump it into a volcano or something like that. And I don't really mean that, because I'm sure, but otherwise set up situations where the plastic this can happen to plastic in a way, probably not immediately, but just if you can set it up to where this will happen to plastic over the 20 years or 100-year period, because it hasn't been that long, this is already starting to happen naturally. Yeah. Maybe we can kind of incentivize nature or set up nature to be able to use this process with more plastic and lock up that plastic in rock, and then, it'll get buried. And then in a million years or something, some other society, will be like, oh, yeah, what? We just found fossil fuels it used to be plastic a million years ago, and now it's coal, or now it's something, who knows what it'll turn into.
So, or it's arsenic and we're all dead. So,
that
who knows what that stuff will turn into in a million years. But that's what I was thinking too, which is, Yeah, this is fascinating, right? Because I thought about the same thing, like, let's say longer, right? Like 50, 100 million years from now, and then let's say this, the species of humans don't exist and whatever. Because I was thinking, like, what if we produced by, however long it takes humans to exhaust ourselves before we extinct, we've produced so much plastic that, yeah, if you had a time machine to show up 100 million years from now, but let's say a third or a half of the world's actual geology and topography is somehow has this plastic in it. It made me realize that the Earth's 4 billion years old, and the whole idea of like a billion years ago, maybe there was some advanced civilization. Part of the reason why I never believed that was because I used to think about that, like, well, we've never found anything like plastic or something inorganic that from like more than like 10,000, 20,000 years ago for us to say. But now this is interesting because, yeah, maybe in just a shorter period of time, like a few million years or something, anything that's inorganic will just kind of be sucked into the earth again. So maybe certain even elements that we thought came from some supernova and all that might have been some advanced civilization 500 million years ago that already figured out how to get to Mars and all that. And what we're thinking is actual molecules of stuff that they actually inorganically produce. Yeah. So it's interesting.
Yeah, so, yeah. I mean, well, yeah, the possibilities are endless. I mean, what we see, like when we see, and really the significant thing here is how quickly it's happening. It's happening within this short period
within
of time.
100 years or so. Plastic's
you imagine,
only maybe 120 years. I mean, it's not that old.
Yeah, you imagine that a lot of stuff will happen when you start talking on 1 million years or 10 million years or 100 million years. I mean, that's the fascinating thing about the dinosaurs is just that they're placed at a time over a couple 100 million years. And it's like, well, they were alive that long, like where it's like, okay, yeah, if you go to the oldest dinosaur versus the newest dinosaur, that time period is longer than it is from the newest dinosaur to humans to now. And so if you go back before the dinosaurs, then like you said, anything could have happened and we would have no idea, in terms of that stuff would have just recycled into the earth by then. And that's what we're seeing now is this is happening quickly. But again, to me, I'm looking at this and the possibilities are like, okay, well, this may create another opportunity or another avenue for us to try to be a little bit more sustainable, or at minimum to minimize our footprint in a way, again, not just because, but in a way that will allow us to live on the earth for longer, before what you say, we exhaust the earth for our purposes, so to speak, and, we use it all up. So ideally, we can continue to use discoveries like this or anything else to improve upon how we are living and how we're living within the ecosystems of the earth. So,
well, I was going to just say with a smile that in fairness to the dinosaurs, based on our last conversation, they did not have a representative democracy. So apparently they were able to last 300 million years because they were just authoritarian. So that's another secret.
Yeah, there you go. They were tribal. They were tribal by definition. So,
well, remember, I guess T-Rex was like the biggest guy on the block. So, he ran the show for a long time. No one really challenged him. There was no representative of smaller ones,
no, they would just have to team up if they were going to be a bunch of small ones against him. So,
well, he divided and get us out of here, man. He made the Triceratops go against the Brontosaurus to keep them all divided. You see?
It's divide and conquer as old as it gets.
I'm glad we finished here. I might rethink how I felt about the whole first half of the show. I might even run for office soon. Be careful.
But no, we appreciate everybody for joining us on this episode of Call Like I See It. Subscribe to the podcast, rate it, review us, tell us what you think, send it to a friend. Until next time, I'm James Keys.
I'm Tunde Ogunlana.
All right, we'll talk to you next time.